Now, one of the other things that we notice when we go to Hajj, that quite frequently in our community, alhamdulillah, once again, we have many people who are in the medical profession. Alhamdulillah, and many of them you meet time and time again in Hajj. One such person is a consultant in emergency medicine, Dr Imran Zia, who for the last 12 years has been traveling to Hajj and been providing his services as a doctor whilst on Hajj. So we're going to be hearing from him quite briefly, but what you'll be hearing from him is very practical advice. So brothers and sisters who are preparing for Hajj this year, if you do need to take notes, this is the time to take notes from Dr Imran Zia.
I'd like to begin by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, inshallah, giving me the opportunity to go on Hajj one more time. I'd also like to thank Brother Yusuf Hamza for inviting me to give a talk here. One of the things about giving talks is we're used to having PowerPoint presentations, but technology has failed me today. So it's just going to be me and no technology. So I'm going to have to rely on this from memory. Like I said, I've been fortunate to go to Hajj now. This will be my 12th year, inshallah. And in that time, I've gathered a huge amount of practical experience. So in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to narrow down, which is normally an hour talk in 15 minutes. So if I've come across as being a bit rushed, I apologize. If anyone, however, would like to ask me any questions afterwards, I'll be at the back. First thing, before you travel, before you go to Hajj, we've mentioned it already, you will all need to have the Menveo vaccination, which is the meningitis vaccination. Very simply, for those of you that want to just get the certificate and put it in your passport, I'm going to discourage you from doing so. Actually get the vaccination. Just to run off the others, if you're elderly, if you have any chronic conditions or something, or if your doctor advises you, then consider getting the pneumococcal vaccine, consider getting the hepatitis A, hepatitis B vaccine, and consider getting a tetanus injection if you haven't done so already, because tetanus will last you for 10 years. You don't need to worry about malaria. It's not malaria country. You don't need to worry about rabies, because although there are dogs in Saudi Arabia, you're very unlikely to come across any stray cats or dogs. Now, before you prepare and before you go for Hajj, if you haven't started doing so already, go buy your sandals and your shoes that you're going to use to wear in Hajj. Go put them on now and start walking them with them on the streets, not at home. The last thing you want to do is to wear those brand new sandals on the first day, get a blister on your first day, and spend the first day considering, why is my feet killing me? Because you can't walk any further, and that will happen on the first day. So nice sandals, worn in, that you have worn here. And if you haven't started doing so already, walk for at least half an hour. If you can't do that, then really consider how you're going to manage. And also those people that are actually going to be pushing people in wheelchairs, they need to ask, are they physically able to push somewhere in a wheelchair for 2 to 3 hours on rough terrain? So they need to question themselves, because it's not the person in the wheelchair that has the problem, it's the person pushing them that has the problem. So that's a bit about preparations before you go. Now, I would imagine there's a number of people here who are diabetic or know somebody that's diabetic. If you are diabetic, always see your GP before you go, but ask the practical question, how are you going to carry your insulin? Your insulin is a protein. Protein, the moment you put it in the cargo hold, it'll be freezing, it won't work. The moment you put it in extreme temperatures, it won't work. So you'll be giving yourself insulin, it won't be working. You may be on a coach. The longest coach journey I've done is 19 hours. If you're on a coach for 19 hours and your insulin will not work after that, so you need to transport it in a device. There's a device called Frio, F-R-I-O. Costs 10 to 14 pounds from Boots. Go buy one. It'll last you up to 24 hours. It's very, very, very cheap and very effective. Those of you that are, for example, got angina or heart disease, lots of people here carry the GTN spray under their tongue. GTN spray is not available in Saudi Arabia. You can't get it, full stop. You can't be got it. So if you're going to carry medicines like that, leads on to the next thing. Take your medicines with you in your hand luggage. Because if it goes in your hold luggage, and if there's 3 million people going on Hajj, times that by 3, there's 9 million pieces of luggage coming in and out of the country. Don't be surprised if your bag gets lost. So in other words, you put all your medicine in your hold luggage, it gets lost, there goes your medicine. Then you're running around trying to find out exactly what medicine to get, and no one can get hold of the medicine, and you're having to use equivalents and so on and so forth. So a bit about existing medical conditions. If you've got an existing medical condition, inshallah, you won't become unwell. But if you do, take a letter with the existing medical condition that you've got, from your GP, but most importantly, take on that letter the hospital and your hospital number and a contact number for somebody to be able to reach should you run yourself into difficulty. I've had people who have had chronic, who've had renal transplant, who have kidney transplant, who have had cancer, and they've got themselves into difficulty. You give me a hospital, you give me a hospital number, you give me the consultant, I will be able to ring that person and I will be able to get your blood results and your scan results and everything. But if you don't bring that with you, it's going to have a problem. And give that to the person who's traveling with you. Because should you get unwell, you're not in a position to tell anybody, they should be able to tell somebody. So that's a bit about chronic medical conditions. Now, if you get yourself into difficulty in the haram, for those of you that have done Umrah many times before, there used to be a hospital called the Ajad Hospital. Just by Ajad, there used to be a big sign over there with a no smoking sign. With the expansion of the haram, the Ajad Hospital no longer exists. At the bottom of it, they have a sign saying Ajad Hospital. That is a 6-bedded little unit which offers no X-ray facilities or anything like that at all. So if you get into trouble in the haram doing tawaf or sa'i, more than likely you'll be taken into one of two centers. One is on the inside of gate number 5. The other is on the inside of gate number 94. So if you think somebody's got themselves into difficulty in the haram, remember gate number 5, there's a medical clinic inside the haram. Remember gate number 94, there's a medical facility inside the haram, that's where you'll be taken. Should you have more problems, you will then be rushed to the Ajad, the little center over there outside. And that is located, if you need it, look around you, you'll see a huge clock, massive clock, you can't miss it. It's the tallest clock tower, I believe, in the world. Look at the base of the clock tower, look towards your left, and there'll be some stairs, go down the stairs, and you'll find the Ajad clinic in there. However, so what gate number was it, 94 and number 5. Okay. Now, just to carry on with if you get yourself into difficulty in Makkah, 2 options you have. Number 1, you can go to a private hospital in the Abraj complex. That is a very expensive hospital. However, if it means that you are going to save time, use the facility. But in Makkah, outside Makkah, go to the Al-Noor Hospital, Al-Noor Tertiary Center. Spend a half an hour going to the Al-Noor Tertiary Center. Every doctor speaks English. It has every single speciality that you could imagine, and it is a very good hospital. The locals have to pay, but because you are Hujjaj, you do not have to pay. And I have had people who have had ultrasound scans there, CT scans there, and it's very good treatment. Advice, if you go to hospital, speak English. And the reason I say to you speak English, when you go and speak English, the only people that can really speak English are the doctors, and therefore they'll usher you in to see a doctor. So you bypass a lot of people waiting in the queue. Little tip there. Okay, now, a bit about pharmacies. When you're in pharmacy, brother, can I just make a request? If I can finish the talk, then inshallah I'll take questions at the end, permitting time, or at the end. Al-Noor Hospital. A bit about pharmacies. You don't need a prescription in Saudi Arabia to get medication. However, some simple medication that you are so used to buying here or getting from a prescription, you cannot get over there. I've mentioned one already, GTN spray. Any one of you asthmatics and you're giving a course of steroids, you cannot get steroids from a pharmacy over there. Some will give it to you out of ignorance, but they're not allowed to give it to you. So steroids will be a problem. Number 3, you cannot buy Imodium. Imodium, you know Imodium that you take if you get actually dodgy bowels, is banned in Saudi Arabia now. So if you're going to take Imodium, take it from here. You cannot buy it in Saudi. You go to Saudi Arabia because you've got a dodgy tummy, they'll give you metronidazole, which is an antibiotic. Not the same thing. So that's about that. Now coming on to the practical elements. Most of you will arrive in Hajj, most of you will be ready, you will arrive a few days earlier, and then about 3 or 4 days before the Hajj rites are about to start, panic sets in. And every year the same themes come in. And 3 themes come up every single year. 3 days before Hajj, 2 days before Hajj, 1 day before Hajj, and I mean this is the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, the phone call goes off, Dr Imran, I've got a really bad cough, really bad cold. And what happened is I say, what else is going on? I say, my throat hurts, my temperature's going up, my muscles ache like they haven't ached before, I'm coughing and nothing is coming up, and I feel really, really, really unwell. The reality is there's 140 countries, more than that I would imagine. People from all those countries come, they're all spreading viruses everywhere. What do you think is going to happen? People catch these colds. More than likely this is going to be what we call Hajji cough or Hajji flu. Treatment for it, first of all, expect to feel unwell. Number 1, take paracetamol, get the temperature down. Number 2, rehydrate yourself with warm drinks. Number 3, stay away from cokes and things like that. Number 4, it really, I think the most important thing there is number 4 is to take some lozenges or hot honey and orange, mix it up to calm down the sore throat. And then finally, the question is, should you take antibiotics? If you take antibiotics and you don't get better, you blame the doctor. If you take antibiotics and still don't get better, you still blame the doctor. So the reality is it's very, very difficult in this situation. But if you need to, in this particular situation, if you feel rough, take some medical advice. Number 2, the next common thing that comes up is, I've got a dodgy tummy. If you get a dodgy tummy because you've gone to Saudi Arabia and you can find Italian food and you can find Indian food and you can find Saudi food and you can find whatever food there, people love to experiment with food over there. This is not the time to experiment with food. Keep away from experimentation. Just eat simple foods, eat it from clean environments, wash your hands before, wash your hands afterwards, toilet, bathroom, etc. If you get yourself into difficulty with diarrhea, remember you can't get Imodium, so take some with you. If you have more than 6 motions a day, I would say seek some medical advice, because Saudi Arabia, they are the experts now in what happens is people getting dodgy tummies. And what happens is sometimes the infections will make their tummies become so inflamed that they need operations. And partly that was blamed too because of so much Imodium overuse, hence they banned it. Number 3 most common question is, I get a common question from the ladies. Brother, my menses aren't stopping. And what happens is I said to them, tell me what happens. Well, we've been taking tablets, the tablets aren't working, so what I've done is I spoke to a sister, the sister said take her tablets. So I took her tablets and now they're not working. Then I spoke to a lady doctor on the group and the lady doctor, she said, no, take these tablets. So I've started taking those tablets. So now I've got 3 tablets and it's still not working, and now doctor help me. You know, with this issue, sisters, deal with it before you go. Deal with it before you go, and you must deal with it before you go, because some tablets are contraceptive, some are not contraceptive, some are good for high blood pressure, some are good if you've had clots, some are good if you have cancer, so on and so forth. The most important thing is, most of you will be given tablets you have to take 3 times a day. 3 times a day does not mean 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock. It won't work. It means take it at Fajr time, 5 o'clock, take it after Zuhr, which is 2 o'clock, take it after Isha, which is 8 o'clock. That's 3 times a day. That's why it will work. That's the benefits of working. Last thing, just to come on to you. So now you've started on the days of Hajj, you're coming on days of Hajj, and what people don't realize, they think they're ready for it now. They start walking on the days of Hajj. You're going to be going in Mina to Arafah. Some of you may take coaches, some of you may be walking. You're going to spend the whole day in 40 degrees heat. Then you're going to go to Muzdalifah. You're going to sleep on Muzdalifah on the floor. There's no 5-star treatment. Anyone paid for a 5-star accommodation doesn't make a difference. It's you, the sky is your roof, and the floor, that's going to be your bed. It's as simple as that. And you're going to share it with the fumes and everything. And you're not going to want to use the toilets. Then from there, you're going to leave Muzdalifah. You're going to come back to Mina. Some of you may well be stoning on the way back. Then you're going to come back exhausted. Then you have to go to the Haram and walk. All in all, some of you may be walking up to 15 kilometers, whether you like it or not. You're walking 15 kilometers, what's going to end up happening? You're going to be absolutely exhausted. So as a result of that, my advice to you is, don't get yourself dehydrated, because this is a self-induced phenomenon. Dehydration is what people will happen. They have a fear of, I'm young, if I don't want to use the toilet, so what I'm going to do is, I'm just not going to eat and drink. Then they go there, they don't eat and drink, and subhanAllah, this is the young that it affects, not the elderly. They don't eat, they don't drink, they become dehydrated, they start becoming headaches, nausea, vomiting, irritable, dizzy spells, fighting. I've heard everything said in Hajj because people have got themselves in this stage. If you do get yourself dehydrated, drink fluid, and that doesn't mean a sachet of Diarrhea with 330 ml of water poured in, that will recover you. You will lose up to 1 to 2 litres per hour walking in the heat. You may be walking for 3-4 hours, plus what you normally require. You could be down 4, 5, 6 litres. You think 330 ml is going to do? It's going to fail. So this is what happens. People will get themselves into a problem. So don't, for the fear of using those toilets, not eat and drink. Eat and drink and be sensible with that at all. The final thing is just to mention, because I know I've had the 2-minute warning over there, and the brothers, I don't want them to get angry with me. When you're walking so far, I've seen so many people, instead of being able to concentrate on their ibadah, what they're concentrating on is the pain between their legs, because they've been walking in the heat, and the rubbing of that skin with sweat has caused the skin to chafe so badly they can't concentrate anymore. So if you want to pack something, pack some Vaseline. Make sure you rub it between your legs, very much so that when you walk, you're not distracted by that. Because you know you're not used to walking in 40 degrees heat. You're not used to walking in ihram. You're not used to walking without underwear, so on and so forth. But that, I'm telling you, when you've done your Mina, you've gone to Arafah, Muzdalifah, come back, stoning, off to the Haram, Tawaf, Sa'i, come all the way back, You're not going to be able to do much away with ibadah if your skin is gone. And finally, imagine the problem with your feet. Lastly, what's going to end up happening? People here, they don't walk out on the relatively clean roads without socks and shoes on. And they spend ages here buying the nice trainers, making sure they're nice and soft and they're comfortable. Yet they skimp on buying the cheapest sandals when they go out there. And over here, they think they can wear sandals without socks. You're going to be in ihram for 3 days, 4 days. The rest of the times, consider wearing socks. Why? Because grit between your foot and your sandal on a half surface will give you blisters. You get blisters, forget about concentrating on your Hajj. The pain will be so bad, you won't be able to do tawaf. And you will envy the man that's in the wheelchair. This is the truth. This is what ends up happening. So what I would say to you is that learn to look after your feet. Keep them moisturized, keep them soft, keep them up. If you get grit between your feet and your sandals, wipe away the grit. Immediately wipe away the grit. Because if you don't, that pressure will give you blisters and then you will regret it afterwards. The last slide is, and I'm just going to talk about it, is mental health. You are going to be dirty, unkempt, unwashed, in high extremes of temperature. You're going to be poorly hydrated. You're going to be poorly fed. And I'll tell you what will end up happening. This is human nature. You will become angry, irritable. You will not see how irritable and how sort of dysfunctional you become. So if you're going to pack one thing, other than the things I've mentioned already, pack lots of patience. Because if you don't pack patience, I'm telling you, your Hajj is going to be difficult. With that said, I'm sorry, I know the brothers, they're telling me to move off. I'm going to say Jazakumullah khair for listening. If there's any specific advice anyone would like, I'm at the back. Feel free to ask me. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.